Greetings. Today we're doing our radio show on the UN agenda, UNESCO, how serious climate change is, and we also discuss some of our backgrounds regarding how we came to our ideologies. So I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. I'm going to flip it over to the radio station now. Just one moment.
And divert into a new topic.
Did you guys see that young Swedish girl that just became, she just became
Greta?
the news today? Yeah, Greta. Greta
I know
Sundberg.
that this weekend there was demonstrations all over the world for climate change protection.
Okay, so what I was going to bring up, do you guys remember our show where we touched on the UN Global Agenda, the initiatives, UNESCO, controlling our school curriculums, and basically giving pamphlets on how to run every system in the world? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it funny that it's working?
Could you repeat your last statement? I got sidetracked.
We did a show where I think I read some of the UNESCO agenda.
Yeah?
The UN agenda, whether it's Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, all of these, they give out the pamphlets. These people that you don't elect, there is no elections for these people. They just become bureaucrats in charge of controlling civilizations and they're the ones behind the open borders, they're the ones behind the climate agenda activism, they're the ones behind the transgender and the money behind the gay marches, and all of this stuff is connected if you read their own documents.
Right, one time John and I did a show and he had like 21 points of UNESCO that we went over one by one, but on some levels I agree with everything what you're saying, but I do think as far as promoting gay rights and stuff, that's initiated at the local, national, and international level. I don't think it's just generated through UNESCO.
I'm not talking about gay rights, because that's a human right is a right.
Right.
And I'm talking about the money behind the activism, creating the culture that's being driven by something bigger.
Well, I do think that I'm not saying they made too big a deal about that Greta girl, but she stood up at a major conference, and that's how she got her notoriety. I think she might even have been a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize, but then, like, her population was on fire. Her popularity was on fire, kind of like that girl who got shot between the head in the Middle East, who wanted to fight for women's education.
All right. Well, this girl, somebody put her on stage. Somebody gave her access. And it's no surprise to me that her family is connected. Olaf Thunberg, her grandpa, was a director, and her mom was an opera singer. It's not like she just developed all these ideas on her own. She had a connected family that shaped her. And to come on our soil and accuse our politicians of robbing her future and her childhood, when it's her own family connections that created what she is, they're the ones that robbed her of her childhood.
Right. I just want to mention when she was 15, Greta Sundberg took time off school to demonstrate outside the Swedish parliament, holding up a sign for a stronger climate action, and then other kids followed. And then she addressed the 2018 United Nations Climate Change Conference. And that's the speech that gave her the popularity ticket.
Well, it's fine that she makes the speech, but the problem is her lifestyle and everyone connected to her is totally the opposite of it. If she wants to go to maybe go to the Aboriginals in Australia and send a message by a pigeon, or put a bottle, put a paper in a bottle and float it across the ocean. That's her message. But the problem is she's taking money from George Soros and other people. She gets flown into places. These people, like with the Davos convention, 12,000, or I'm sorry, I think it's about 12,000 people fly in on private jets. They don't believe what they're saying. They're living the dream.
Can I find a job like that?
They don't go to third world countries and live in huts to show us how to live this. And by the way, I'm fine with that. I actually like the Amish lifestyle. I'm just saying they live a different lifestyle, and they expect you and me to live different than them. And it's hypocritical. It's a sham. It's fake.
Well, the thing, she's only the only thing, I agree with you. I wanted to tell you something that would make you and Ben laugh. She was in a school strike movement featured in a 30-minute Vice documentary, and it was called Make the World Greta Again, instead of Make the America Great Again. It was titled Make the World Greta Again.
I've seen there's been some pretty creepy information coming out about the movement that she's a part of. Somebody did a compilation of a protest that she was a part of, doing the exact same hand motions and the same chant that was in Orwell's 1984 movie. So they're actually living it out. It is weird. And there's people, like, as soon as, so I wouldn't want my child to be on America's stage or on the world stage at all, because that brings out critics of anybody. Like, you put anybody's
I
kid
do
up there
think we
to make
are in a
political
climate
statement.
crunch, but I don't think the world's going to end tomorrow because of it.
Okay.
The problem is going to be, we have this financial situation where we're in debt, the whole world's struggling. We're actually doing much better than the rest of the world, but like Europe is struggling, and Russia's struggling, China's struggling with the tariffs. And then we have people running for office say, listen, we're going to just kill everything, like the oil industry, cars, planes. We're just going to wipe it out in 10 years or redo it all. And then they say, and we're struggling as it is. Well, we're doing the best we've ever done in 4 or 5 decades. So they have to make up their mind. Are we doing the best by the records, by the facts that we've ever done, or are we doing terrible? If we're doing terrible, then why are you going to cut everything that's created this wealth and this prosperity that these third world countries don't have? Because if you think it's bad now, you cut our economy in half, you gut out all our profits, and we are going to be in the streets. We're going to be like Venezuela. We are going to be like Cuba. We're going to be like a lot of these places that are just so... Even Russia, you look in the 90s, they starved themselves out. I mean, they just... China, they were terrible poverty, and they finally adopted capitalistic ideas with the communist government, and now they're booming. But before then, they were just, terrible.
The world has changed a lot, John, and I do want to mention one thing. Sorry, Ben, I'll just make it short. Remember the anti-student protest demonstrations of the early 70s? It was kind of like someone lighting a match on a rope and it going all over the country. Like, all of these groups were organic, like they created the Student Democratic Society or SDS on campuses, and they didn't have like fancy telephones or social media, and it was like an organic revolution based on a belief system, but also It was also a need to express to the government what they wanted to do and what they wanted from our government and the disparity. And that was kind of admirable, but now it seems, the way you guys are talking tonight, that some of these campaigns for social justice matters are too well coordinated.
Yeah, it's not organic. It's being manipulated and created by the authority powers that created the problems that they're creating these kids to go solve. Like, literally, they're telling the kids what to say and paying for all of the accommodation it takes to move these kids around to do the heavy lifting of the politics. They're making the PR
So what do you
campaign.
think their end game is, Ben? What's the end game? Is it to bring awareness to the issues?
No, it's to dominate. They want domination like they've always wanted. They want one world government where there's a pinnacle on top of the same families that have been in control forever. That's what they're trying to create. That's why they want open borders. They want to put a bull in every China shop they can to create chaos. So then kids like this will go out and cry and say, people are suffering, people are dying. We demand that the government take action. That's what they always say, no matter if it's a gun crisis or a phony climate crisis. They always say the same thing. They read the lines that they're supposed to read, and then they say, we demand that the government take charge. That's always the message. And if you drop the borders of every country that's sovereign,
well, let's do a scenario. What if, let's say people watch Netflix and they watch all these cool documentaries and they're inspired, but what if their cause has no real impact? What if they can't change the mind of one government?
What's your question?
Like, what if it's just a bunch of hoopla? Like, let's say America never joins the Kyoto Protocol, or that country B never reduces their gas emissions. Like, what happens if their cause doesn't change what they're trying to do? Then what? What's their next plan of action?
Well, they're wasting their lives. They're wasting their lives getting into politics when they should be being kids, and they shouldn't be blaming governments and activist leaders for giving them the funds to be out of school, and then saying that they should be in school while they're telling you how bad you are for polluting their world.
So how many Greta Sundbergs do you think there really are? I mean, I don't think there's that many kids missing school for that kind of stuff.
Have you seen all of the marches that happened? This is
not
part of the UN
recently,
agenda.
no.
Well, New York was
No,
the
I
biggest
haven't.
in the world, but they were worldwide. The climate march was worldwide. New York was the biggest one. And that's actually written into the UN agenda to basically amp up these kids, make them so afraid of climate change that they want to leave school to go yell about it in the faces of adults. And I've seen my governor do it. He's one of these people. He'll go around at elementary schools and teach the kids.
I've never met a kid under 15 that says, you know, climate change or global warming is a hoax. Every kid, you know, I'm giving it them. I ask them if they want a plastic bag. Oh, no, we got to save the planet. And the mom looks at him and says, that's right, you know, that's good, you know, and they don't even argue. The mom will say, but we need that plastic bag. And she says, no, Mommy, no, we got to save the world. And the thing is, and then I tell them, well, you can always recycle the bag. You know, I'm with you, you know, hey, I'm all about the children. But you can recycle the bag. And I said, you know, 90% of it comes from China and Asia and Vietnam and other countries where they just throw plastic into the water. They don't know the facts. No one tells them. They just told us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, China has a terrible policy on environmental, like even their efficiency with building buildings and using environmentally friendly materials. Like, there was a new thing that came out recently, and Ben probably knows something about this, that they're building a lot of wood, a lot of furniture and stuff out of hemp. Like it's a new trend. Like,
Yeah.
what does China know about stuff like that?
Right, and that's the other thing is you just go in the store, go into Target, go into 99 or dollar store, go into anywhere, any place, Ross. Look at the tag. You know, it's made in China. It's like, well, how do they process this stuff? How are they? What's their pollution like over there in China? It's like,
Yeah.
they don't care.
Why do these kids come to
How about their
America
labor
to
laws
shame
too?
us? What if she really wanted to talk to people that her efforts could be put in a better place? Like she could go to China and have that same speech. She could go to India and have that speech. She could go to Malaysia.
You know what would happen?
I don't think they have the kind of environment there that they're really welcoming.
She would have to host her podcast from a prison in Sing Sing. That's where she'd be.
It's just like that Malalia girl or whatever her name is with the bullet in her head. Her headquarters are in London now. She's not going to go back to Pakistan and get on a bandwagon. Nobody's going to support her there. She'd probably be dead in a week.
Well, I tell you, I am against a lot of the chemicals that we put out in our food, in our water, in everything we build. I don't think it's healthy. Obviously, if you start your car and you put it in the garage and you sit there for about 15 minutes, you're not going to be doing too well health-wise. You'll probably be dead. So obviously, that's not a good thing. And I will say, I think, although I do believe Donald Trump is the only person stepping up for America and for our country, I will also say he's not stopping 5G. He has to keep pushing it to keep up with China. China has about, they're like 10 times ahead of us with 5G as far as the towers and their networking compared to us. And Vietnam, I believe, is the other place that's right. It's like they have half as much as them, I believe, but we're way behind. However, does this relate to AI? It relates to shipping people. It relates to the mark of the beast, the end of the world. Whether you believe the Bible thing or not, just believe Elon Musk. He believes that we have to chip people in the brain, and we see it coming. It's like the Matrix. It's like all these movies, Terminator. It's all about the end of the world. So anyone who's not fighting that stuff, we need a champion, and we need someone to step in there, step up the game.
I wanted to congratulate you, John. We all went 47 minutes without saying the word Donald Trump.
Yes. And
by the way,
go ahead. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be fixed. But in the meantime, unfortunately, if we do go back to Pony Express and that kind of tech, electricity, there's no way we can keep up with the world and be a president. So it's kind of a catch-22. But
we couldn't do that now. We couldn't do that now, knowing the dangers of horse farts.
People will die. We'll starve. There'll be no work to do. And so we have to rethink, how are we going to move forward? Are we going balls to the walls, pedal to the metal?
Is there a way that, I just want to read 2 sentences. The transition to new 5th-generation cellular networks known as 5G will affect many kinds of devices, including industrial robots, security cameras, drones, cars, and sending traffic data to one to another. This will leap ahead certain technology by offering mobile internet speeds that will let people download movies, blah, 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 blah. So is there a way ever is there anything in the world that could damage internet communication or 5G technology? Like, is there a way to sabotage it?
Well, that's a
problem with Huawei. They are bringing out the 5G, and it's got back doors to it where they are able to access information at will. So it's kind of like Alexa and Google Home and those things where they are on 24 hours a day, and every piece of information that they collect is unknown to the person who owns it.
But, well, also wrong with that thought, anything you've typed, emailed, any record, anything electronic, Google has it. I mean, there's some areas where maybe they have 80% or 60%, but people like me, probably in LA, they've got every little website I've been on, every message I've sent, every text, they have it all. And in fact, I don't know if you guys know, but yesterday or so, 48 of our states have filed an antitrust against Google. They're going to investigate them, see if they can break them up, because they realize they control everything. You know, over 90% of all advertising and the way information is handled. And they control the way elections go. They influence between 2 to 15 million votes, because they can show what searches show up. They can give you notices, hey, today vote, you know. They can say, oh, so-and-so is doing great in the polls. So-and-so is doing bad in the polls. So they select and choose, you know, what algorithms to affect, what people to affect, and they study this. This is what they do. So this is going to be a major thing. You'll see this between now and the election. There's going to be a lot of fighting over this, because it's the next election will be World War III. I mean, we're talking about people fighting for their lives. There's a Republican congressman who's been around for years. Got arrested on child porn. You have the Pirates All-Star baseball pitcher arrested for texting a 13-year-old. She's 15 now, but you know they arrested him. It's like boom, just lock him up, and you're going to see a lot of stuff. The Epstein thing is just warming up. It's warming up and it's bubbling, and you'll see more and more of these things slowly leak. And it's just a show. Get the popcorn. You know, don't fight it. You know, research it. Just look into it. You know, see what the truth is.
Right. So what's funny to me is
here's another one, by the way. Ed Buck. Ed Buck was a major DNC contributor, and 3 different African-American males have died over the last couple of years from meth overdoses and combinations of drugs, engaged in sexual acts. And it took the third one that didn't get away. I'm sorry, 2 died. The third one got away just a few weeks ago, and went to they went to the hospital and the police, and that's how come he got arrested. Otherwise, Ed Buck would be running around. Ed Buck knows a lot of stories and a lot of people, and they put him into, they arrested him. What's going to happen to him? Is he going to get the Epstein treatment? Because he's good friends with, not just the Clintons, everyone.
Who was that
DNC.
person you mentioned?
Ed Buck, major contributor to the DNC party. And they knew for the last couple of years. Oh, he picks up, he's in, I think, in Hollywood area. He's close to Adam Schiff. They know each other very, very well. And so all these people know about him. Think about that. They knew. And he would take, pick up, black men and give them drugs, shoot them up with, get them all high, and then start doing, S&M, bondage, whatever, having his way with them. And then they would die, and they would say, oh, they just overdosed in his house. But this guy got away, and he tried to catch him. And he made it to either a hospital or 911 or whatever. And that's the only reason this came out big time. And this just happened, within the last couple of weeks. So,
what's similar to him is another Ed Murray from Seattle. He was the Seattle mayor. Same kind of guy, same kind of things. He got got away with it and kept getting away with it until it happened again, and then pretty soon everybody was like, well, maybe there's something to it. It's not just a political thing where people are attacking him. He's actually, like, these people are not going to stop. And one of his accusers was wound up dead. And then